What do we have? We don't have George anymore. He left. But we have Victoria. On the new page. We have what do we have? After we have George back. Victoria, what is it about?
Are you expecting a new topic, maybe?
I don't know. Are you at the Olympics?
No, but
I've heard that the Hungarian people are super good at swimming. I just saw one winning their semifinal.
Yeah, and I actually visited Paris in the beginning of this month, but not at the Olympics.
Great.
So just a little reminder from me about the Orchard Harvest Conference, which will take place in Las Vegas this year on the 12th and 13th of September. And I wanted to remind everyone that we almost reached the point where there will be only 2 weeks left for the early bird tickets. So if you are still thinking about coming to the conference, I recommend getting your tickets as soon as possible. And also another reminder that you can check out all the detailed programs at the orchardcore.net/harvest.
Really true. Beautiful timeline.
Yes.
Sebastian, you need to update that photo. We're not in COVID time anymore.
Doesn't matter. I have a photo with mask. It's still COVID times. Like so many people get it, but I don't wear the mask anymore.
We have to take a photo at the event if it's not earlier.
I don't want to give COVID to Mike. It's too fragile. Okay. At least my picture won't give you COVID. Good. Thank you.
Thank
Victoria.
you.
I forgot to go through last week's meeting. You got a demo from Zoltan 2, Zoltan Matek. And it was about something I don't remember. What was it about? I could ask Gabor, but we didn't get the video. What was it about?
It was about the Olympic API client for Orchard Core.
Oh, yeah. Open API client, right?
Yeah. That was it, yeah.
Yeah, and I mentioned it was using REST. REST what? REST. What's the name of the C# API? REST simple.
I pasted the URL of the repo into the chat.
Yeah, but I'm looking for the name of the one you mentioned.
Maybe you are searching for Rafik?
Thank you. I have more stars than Orchard. Must be better. Okay, good. And today we have a topic. Do we have demos? Or not? A few people. Let us. Should one? Anything? I don't think so. I should call. Anything? Since 723. Yeah. Oh, it's short. OpenID UI Enhancements. OpenID UI Enhancements. This makes me think about something, so I will take a minute and come back to that. Random UID. What's the best metadata while you remove it?
I moved it to somewhere else.
You know why we have that?
I created it, so I know why.
Okay, remind me. I know, but I want you to remind
Because
everyone.
line 3, that's only available on secure context. So if you have HTTPS, and if you don't, then it won't work. So we fall back on get random values and just generate our own random values.
Thank you for reminding us. That should be in the comment, by the way. I remember that, but I'm sure I could also not remember why we have that. I remember the bug and nobody could understand. And then I was like, what? We went on the MDN page and it was explaining that you can't access that if you're not on HTTPS. Okay, let's move to. So are these UI like just graphical improvements or features?
They're mainly UI, just to allow us to generate like client ID and client secret on the UI, and also like just rearranging the order of the fields, just to kind of make it more or easier when you're using it. So.
Your JavaScript, Natalie? No jQuery, no Vue. Okay.
No.
Oh boy, that's fancy JavaScript. Wow, I'm reading some.
Yeah, so the same method, we're just basically allowing someone to also provide options. So like if you don't want hyphens in the generated random UI, then you can just say don't include it and it will generate it without that dashes.
It makes me think about something else. Generated. Okay. Small optimizations from the extension manager. Yes, I believe we use transient instead of singleton in the cases that first it doesn't matter because there is no state to keep, and or because we use it like transiently, meaning once, and then we don't use it in a long time or not ever.
It's used for tenant startup. It's never used.
So,
again.
so we don't need to keep it around. We can build. Your sound is very, very bad, John.
Sorry, what?
Your sound is very bad, like almost like a robot. It's still understandable, but yeah, we'll see.
1 second.
ExtensionManager. It's been a long time we haven't touched this file. We're easily using the services. Small optimization for the ExtensionManager. How to break something.
No, it's only refactoring. Some
Your
methods
sound
are
is
made.
much better. Whatever you did worked.
Yeah,
well.
I switched to the different mic. It's just making some methods static and also remove some fields which are not needed after startup.
Okay.
That's all.
So next
It
week
looks
we
more than it is.
We get a revert this commit next week, I believe. No.
Yeah, probably.
Make it possible to have reversible content to the shape as a property. Okay, so reversible content to the shape as a property. Add property tag helper. Hot tag helper. This is getting. So we should create a view object with shapes. Add property. And that is not a property. But does it add it to the items of this? What count? What is that? What count? Add property variable can be placed inside the shape variable to add properties to the shape. Okay. If you know how to pop attributes, okay, but you can also include razor code as IHTML content property value. Okay, because it's a tag, you can add. It's just value, or is it? Okay, no, sorry, that's the example. Oh, okay, I get it. I didn't see this type. Add property can also take a content. I see. An HTML content, the result of this thing, which can be Oh, that's super confusing because it confused me. Okay, so this thing confused me. But okay, so you can get any HTML content and including rendering other shapes, which themselves can use the prop attribute, but they could use the add property. And in this case, it's just a property named count that is 10. I was like, why do you set the count? I don't know. Okay, so count, it's like any property. Like, okay, it could be X, Y, Z. Okay. Interesting. Embed content in shape. Where is that used? Embed content in shape. There is a property in HTML content, which is then rendered here. Okay. Add property tag info. Okay. New feature. Beautiful. Sarah should we talk about shapes at Harvest? Because might be in want to do. Okay, what is this one? Make ResourcesTagHelper extensible. Oh yeah, I believe we missed. Okay, let me check. I saw that. Hard-coded set of resources definition types. Now both can be extended with ResourcesTagHelper processor to run custom rendering logic. I saw the PR. I think we did on that during the triage. Now this can be anything now. And where are the examples? That is a weird usage of a logging argument. Because this will be stored as a structured value, but it's a constant resource tag type, the string resource tag type. And so in this case, even if we unlink the class name to the string here because we don't want to create any allocations, then we can just say resource tag type here as it. And then what we do when we want to quote the value in the log, we don't use the double quote because we have to escape it. We use a single quote. Just, it's a useless command, just saying. Okay. Ça va. Handle invalid recipe files when breaking the harvester. Christy? Mike knows. Single quote. Okay, let's use the exception, the file name. We'll add RemovePart extension. RemovePart with a type. Remove media permission to Media.Core. I believe this is a newly added media permissions, at least into 0.
No, it's an existing one. It was just moved to the core project. So if anybody wants to use it, they can just include the core project and use it instead of having to include the media module.
You forget the secure media permissions.
Yeah.
What is it?
No, I thought about the secure media permission. Yeah, I was confused. This
There's
is the
another
original
permissions class.
Yeah. Okay. That's the standard ones. Thank you. Fix that you can't add a content part when it's already added as a main part. Okay. Add CanHandleModelAsync. CanHandleModelAsync. So here it's removable.
That override is just not necessary because the base one also returned true. So you're just redefining the same method or same implementation.
Someone knows how to write. That's the correct code. I probably wrote that, but I learned that this is a correct way. So, CanHandle model, it's true. Async. Why would you make it async?
Because sometimes you might need to like evaluate like the content definition manager, which is asynchronous, so that way you don't block. You could just utilize or override the async, so you have both the async and the regular non-async. And this edit function or method right there, we might have to remove it or fix it because the sequence doesn't call it. There's a PR we'll review after we're done going through these, and then we'll talk about this one a little bit more.
How many classes do we have that modify this CanHandleModel? Second. This property. The base class. I find it very weird that you need to do something async in this method.
Like, what if you want to know if the content type of the given item of a specific stereotype? You'll need to pull the definition of that content type and then determine if it is, if it's within a stereotype. So that's a asynchronous call. maybe better using value task instead of a task for that method?
Yes, but the issue is that the caller is returning a task, so there will still be a conversion. And I think that now, because you have to add all the async await everywhere, it will create the what's it called? What's the state machine class for each of these calls, which allocates more. And these are called a lot, you know, when we're under a page to build displayed instance. For every shape we call build display. So now before, well, maybe the actual implementations are still using async await, so that might be an issue. Well, these actual implementation was doing it, but now there is this one plus the caller one. So that's kind of sad. Knowing that all of them, but yours, are not async. Which means at least we could try to do a pattern where we just check the result. If it's terminated, we don't call await, we just return, and then we don't have to call await either here. And if it's not terminated, then we could fall back to the async method. This is an optimization that is done a lot when we know that most of the calls are not actually async. I have some examples in a lot of places. Related, why do I have that? Root 3 has that. Yeah. Something like this. So here, you see here, so we have evaluate async, and we don't do await, and it's not async here. We just call evaluate async, and we have a task. And we check is completed successfully on the resulting task, because if this thing was actually synchronous, then this is already assigned to true. So we can just say, okay, so there is no thing to await, just give me the result. Okay. And this way we don't call await. And 99.999% of the cases, this will always go in this case and never call await. So there is no need to do a state machine here in the generated code by C#. And because of that, there is nowhere here that if this is the only way, but the only location where there was an await, then it's fine because we never have an await then. And if it's not completed successfully, this means this was an actual async call. And then it's converted to one that will have an await. Where is that? Here, this is the else actually, sorry. And then we say return another method, which is called awaited. This is the naming convention, which is the same code, but with async await in the thing. So there is some code duplication, but for the major cases, we then never call async await. And only when this thing is called, there is async await. So in this case here, the only issue is that there are two awaits, so there will be this codification. You can say you assign that to a variable. If it's completed, you return the result. If it's completed and run, you return. If it's not completed, then we need to go to the async await and then have the same method, like will display async awaiting, something like that. That will do the async await. And it's kind of sad because before we didn't have to do anything. This one will probably be asynchronous. So but it can be returned because it's the last statement in the main, in the modified code, it can be returned like before. And then if this is not completed, whatever is it? If this is not completed successfully, then you can return the previous method, but the one you had, which can be private. That's the pattern to use when we don't want to add async await everywhere, or we care about the. And then this could, sorry, this could return a valid task. Yeah, this could return a valid task. And wait, I'm losing my voice. What's happening? I have COVID. I should wear my mask. Who knows? Okay. But this method here, yeah, I don't see it used. So I assume it will be removed until we decide to add it for any reason that needs to be. The editor context. Oh, where is it used? That's the PR that you created.
There's in the PR. We're gonna discuss this a little bit.
Why is it there?
Why is it there? What?
In this? Oh, yeah. Why is it in this commit?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be added, but then after seeing it, I'm like, it's never called, so it's pointless.
All dependencies group with 11 updates. There is, yes, as I'm seeing, there is a sheet update for 0 major version, which is removing Esprima, which is the JavaScript parser only that I have created something like 10 years ago. Well, something like 15 years ago, then we wrote completely. No, I actually didn't write. So I wrote an interpreter 15 years ago, but it was rewritten 10 years ago and called Esprima. And now Jint is using Acornina, which is a project that one of the Esprima's contributor created because it could make a better option. So we moved Jint to use Acornina. Acornina because there is a similar project in JavaScript that speak the same way, I think. How is it called? Acorn? I don't know. Oh, Acorn is the name of the project, I believe. Yeah. And Esprima, we use the thing that is JavaScript that I wrote in .NET. This one is from .NET, and this one there is Acorn, which is much better, a little bit faster than Esprima, much more flexible and standard also, because Esprima itself, the JavaScript one, was not supported anymore. So people were using Acorn in JavaScript. So Adam made Acorn in a .NET port. I will add a star. That's so new version of Jint, the 4.0. This is the same features, but using Acorn some different tags, such a breaking change. That should be invisible for any Orchard user. So yeah, so someone it's not dependable who did this change. Someone must have updated the PR that updated the classes.
Yeah, I did, because that just updates the versions, that's it, and it breaks. So you have to go and fix everything for it. I'm
surprised it bumped a major version, but as long as that's an option, by the way, in the dependable files, but as long as we can react to changes. That's great. Cool. Okay. So thank you. Questions, comments, PRs. Mike, you said, let's see.
So look at that PR 16505. It's the second one. So before we look at the code, let's just look at the comments.
The comments?
So yeah, so no, not here. Just look at description.
Okay.
Description for now. And then you can look at comments if you want. But so summary of the changes at the bottom. So just to give you a kind of a summary is I kind of removed some methods from the base class DisplayDriver and added new ones. Okay. One of the things that are kind of weird with the DisplayDriver today is that like the display method has an updater in the parameter, which kind of feels weird. We have the DB context or the context. You can still access the editor if you want to, but it kind of feels weird to have the editor in the update as a parameter. And then we currently missing two methods, which is edit method with that takes just a regular edit, not a synchronous. So synchronous version of the edit that accepts the context. And also we're missing the display method that also accept the context. I think those two are kind of missing, and it kind of caused us to write more code. And just because we're making already changes to that DB context, I thought maybe it's a good time to add them. So if you look at the invocation path for both of them, so like if you look at the edit today, you'll see how we first start with the edit async, and then we call the edit async, and we pass the updater, and then we call the edit model with the updater, and then we call the edit with the model. And then the display is the same thing. So display, we call the edit context first, and then we call the edit or the model updater second, and then we call and so on and so forth. So you see how we could make 4 calls. So if we look at the little bit below, you'll see where with this PR, I kind of made the changes. So you'll see how we jump from edit async to edit. You notice we only have one async now. We no longer have the edit async that accepts the updater. And then we jump to edit updater or context, and then the other. So it's kind of same thing, but we just removed one method from there. And if you look at the update or the display, so the display is actually one less call now because we removed the update parameter. And so you'll see how we start with the display async that accepts the model and then the context. And then we call the synchronous version of it, which is model context and then the model. So on the display, we save one call. And also now we kind of have everything we need, because if you need the synchronous, you can simply just override the single method. You can do anything you want with it. The context will provide you the updater if you want it, and everything else falls into place.
When you say this one calls this one, so 4 calls, actually this is the default implementation of edit async invokes that. The default implementation of that invokes that, and so on, right?
Correct, in the base class.
If I override this one,
then that's it. You don't have to worry about the rest.
But if I override this one, then it's actually invoked by 4 different call stacks.
Correct, until you get there. So that's how it is today.
These are all options to which one do you want to override.
To override.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 1, 3. Okay, there are 4 options for the edit and display. Isn't there an update also?
Yeah, the update didn't really change. So we have 2 versions of the updates, and that wasn't changed. So for the edit, we still have 4. Okay, but we just removed the one that accepts the updater.
But if I take a random driver today, which one do we usually override?
It depends. So if you look at the code, there are some that are using the updater, which because it's no longer, it's no longer available. So I had to kind of fall back on the DB context. So I had to make some changes in the code.
So scenario for the changes. So edit model context was added. After the PR. Okay, edit model context. Instead of the iUpdate model. But this will call the edit iUpdate model. So which one was removed? The model iUpdate model was removed.
The edit async. Yep.
Okay,
exactly.
the async model iUpdate model, but the edit model iUpdate model.
But if you still want
None of it.
async, you can just override the one that takes the DB context, and you can get exactly what you want.
You mentioned you said DB context twice. Now I get the first time I knew it was DB context.
Context.
So editor context. Okay.
I'm thinking about DB context.
I just realized the second time you said it. So now it's like okay. Display the same thing. Added. This one removed. Display with no updater. Okay, conceptually, why not? Ah, 26 files only, I would say.
Well, because we removed that parameter, so we have to switch that parameter. So look at the first file. So we're just removing the iUpdate parameter and just use the context.
Because this one doesn't exist anymore.
Correct. But if you still need the updater, you can access it from the context.
But the context has the updater already.
Correct.
Okay. And it had it before your PR.
Correct.
It's just that this call was passing it directly instead of the context. Now we have to display with the context. There was a display with the context, right?
Yes. Yeah, the display with context already existed.
So this change.
I'm guessing at some point in time, you guys had only updater, and then maybe context was added later. And so we realized that now we have two. I don't know. I don't know the history, but I'm assuming that is the case.
I don't remember, but I know it's beautiful. So. And this is just the refactoring.
Well, because that term, the parameter name is now called context, so I had to rename one.
Yeah, but that's what this one is. It's related to change. Okay, change. Dots, because that likes dots.
Well, this one we're also no longer calling the asynchronous version. We're just calling the regular one here.
Updater, yeah, the updater is async. So when you say we can get it, yes, we can get it. Updater. Okay. With the async thing here. Yeah, I'd be okay with the async if you can remove the async await in the main path and make it a value task. And that will be fine. I'm not opposed to this change. This is majorly breaking, right? Because anyone.
It is breaking, yeah. But we already have a breaking change in the same class. Earlier, we had to change the update, the parameter in the update. So we already have so whoever uses this version, they're going to automatically get the breaking change that they have to fix. So
okay. What did
I know
Zoltan
it's not
say
a
about
reason
that?
to. What was that?
What did Zoltan say?
Zoltan feels that the change is not it's not significant change to introduce this kind of breaking change. He feels that it's not worth the hassle. I just think it will clean up, some of the code and gives us what we need and kind of remove the parameter, the update parameter from like display. I think it's cleaner.
That's the only reason why I would say it's fine. If it's already broken, question is, so this is binarily breaking. Even if you don't change even if some methods don't change, you will still have probably to change your code.
Correct, and which you already have to do because we already have a.
Yeah, but I wonder if this is even more breaking. Yeah, this is breaking, but is it the same method that is broken, or is it even more methods that are broken?
More methods, yes, more methods. You just have to change the parameter for some. If you're overriding the method that accepts iUpdater, then you have to change it to context for it to work. So you can still use the same method name, same everything. As you can see in our changes, we're changing just a parameter. So you still have to change that. So look at line 25 right there in that first file. You see how the only change is the parameter because we no longer have the iUpdate override the iUpdate model. So now we just
because it was not using the updater. Right?
Yeah, but even if you're using the updater, you can still change the parameter and just use
if it was not using the updater, that means we have methods that don't use the updater in the display. So does it make sense to have a display without even the display context? We have one?
you can. Yeah, we have one that doesn't take the. Yeah, maybe we can just remove it in this case.
No, well,
sure.
In this case, you could just reuse the other one, but then if we want to prevent all the unnecessary codes, then why have it? Why have the one without the text, DB context? Why not just have the one with the DB context? If it doesn't matter, so there is one less goal just to not use the T context. It's kind of the same way if the sync one is called by the async, why not just have the async one? I mean, implement the async. It won't be better if you implement that because this one is not called directly. this one is called by the async itself. So if you can do already everything in async, why do we have this one? That's what I would say.
I think these methods are available just for convenience.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying.
But yeah, you're right. For performance, I think you just need
simplicity.
One method.
Yeah, and implementation, simplicity of implementation. Like when you see the three of them, like which one do I use? Oh, there is one. You implement that. You want to async? Fine. Just don't use async await. Return the value. You don't need that? Fine. Just don't use it.
Yeah, I think the only, well, I don't think it's an issue, but the only thing, if you override the wrong method, you're going to get warnings saying remove the parameter that it's not being used or something. The Visual Studio is going to give you like a little warning.
No, if you call something like, if you implement it, it won't tell you that you're not using context. You are overriding it. It won't tell you anything.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It's just if you implement a method and then you don't use it. Here you're overriding one. So
correct. Yeah, if overriding is not going to complain, you're right.
Yeah. The same thing here, I would say, why do we have this chain of code if we don't need it? Like if it has nothing, it's just calling it. The only thing I could see is the whatever model, the candidate model or can display model, I don't know what. Maybe this is called only there and not there. Where's the page driver for the changes are done?
I think if we can get away with just having asynchronous and then synchronous, one version of each that accepts DB context, I think we should be. We don't need the others, but you know, I don't want to just start removing stuff either.
Where is the can model? What's the name of the project? Can
look at the DisplayDriver. There's a class called DisplayDriver, and that's what it's called.
We have 10 of them, and there is nothing.
No, it's in there. It's just there's so many comments.
What's the name? Can what?
Right there, you're looking at.
Can.
Oh, can override async, I think. Can handle.
Yes, this is the one to put. Display async. Really display calls display async.
Yeah, it starts with display async, and then display async by default calls the next one, and then the next one.
Yeah, so I will go even further and just figure everything.
I think it's a good idea to have so start by display async, but then also have display without async that gets called by default. Because sometimes, if you're writing asynchronous code or synchronous code in your driver, that way you don't have to return a complete task. It just kind of cleans it up a little bit.
Yeah, it cleans. The only thing it cleans is that you don't have to return task or whatever, but that's it. There is no async.
Yeah. So have two overloads, have display async that accepts a context, and then one that is synchronous. So display model context, and that's it. The rest of them,
I don't even agree with that. I just say just async. Like in C# or in EF core, there are methods async. Okay. They don't duplicate every async method to call the sync one because in case you don't want the async. No, that's not how it works. You have a synchronous one when it is called directly because it's better for burst, and there is the full call stack that is synchronous. So but here it's just saying, oh, I'm giving you also a synchronous because maybe you don't want to return a task. I mean, and oh, I'm giving one that doesn't return anything because maybe you don't want to return anything. No, just return null or the default value. So I would go even further than, oh, I wrote all these methods that I'm saying, let's remove everything. So I'm going further and say, if we need to break, let's break everyone. Or let's keep one. Or maybe let's keep one that should be implemented, have the others existing but obsolete, or something like this.
Well, I mean, we're in 2.0, so it's okay to introduce a breaking chain. We're major version anyway.
Or
So I wouldn't want to absolute anything.
If you can just tell people, hey, you should implement DisplayAsync and not break them if we can not break them. But for us, at least continue implementing just DisplayAsync. And I don't know. But yeah, I will go on to it. Maybe that should be a release by itself, like 3.0. I don't know if we want to postpone that. But yeah, I believe we should just have DisplayAsync. I will comment that because it's time and I have to go. So I would say let's wait for people to comment on that. I'm being some people that care. This one, after PR, where is it? Where is the this one?
Yeah, so just the first method, the first.
Mm-hmm. Where is the update one and the update one?
There's one update. There's two update methods because I didn't change them, so I didn't document them. One that accepts an updater, one that accepts context. So, I mean, we will just keep the one that accepts the updater context. I mean, you might want to mention performance too. Because you're right. I think if we reduce the amount of methods, we'll also have a better performance, especially on display drivers. I mean, we do a lot of display drivers. So if we can gain a little bit from performance, that's even better.
Okay, it could provide like a maybe that's what we need. And maybe that's the current design. There's this one by default in the interface, and there are maybe this is about that. Maybe or maybe something. Maybe the PR could keep some idea of backward compatibility by providing the base class that provides the same methods as before. But we have a new base class, or the current base class is actually just that. And if that is just the interface, maybe we don't need a base class. Maybe we just need our drivers to implement the base interface. No, this is not the base interface because there is the code for CanHandle whatever. So this is a base class.
Yeah, I think the interface itself has only one version. I think the base driver just has overrides for
It
convenience.
calls build display. Build display goes well. If CanHandleModel displays. So there is still some value in a base class level. Okay, we can about that later. Understand that keeping talking doesn't make any progress. Okay, I have to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thursday.
You and Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.